All right, so get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into a book that's, well, it's a trip through the universe, but like a darkly comedic one. It's called 42 Reasons to Hate the Universe and One Reason Not to.
Yeah, it's definitely not your average science book. It's a pretty interesting way to tackle some pretty uh, heavy concepts.
Right. I mean, just the title alone makes you wonder, like, what did the universe do to these authors?
Right.
And we're talking about a pretty interesting group here. Chris Ferrie, he's a quantum physicist, writes those baby university books.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then there's David Fairclough and Byrne LaGinestra. They're the science communicators from the Scigasm podcast. So, they're not afraid to get a little real with the science stuff.
Definitely. They don't shy away from the more unsettling, maybe even kind of funny parts of the universe.
And that seems to be what this deep dive is all about. Like, what makes this book more than just a downer, right? Because the reviews call it brilliantly funny, and even an antidote to all that overly enthusiastic pop science you see everywhere. So there's got to be something more to it than, well, just complaining about space.
Totally, yeah. They use humor, which I think is smart, to talk about these ideas that are, frankly, really complex. Like, you're reading about exploding stars one minute and then thinking about how our genes mutate the next, and somehow it just works.
So let's talk about these reasons to hate the universe. One that stuck out to me was this whole idea that we're all just aging mutants, which is, I don't know, kind of harsh, but also true.
Yeah, no, it's true. Every time our cells divide, there's a chance for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's fine. Our cells fix it. But sometimes, well, those mistakes stick around. And after a while, those tiny errors add up.
Yeah.
So yeah, aging, disease, even just our bodies breaking down, that's kind of the price we pay.
So it's almost like the universe has this built-in expiration date for us, which is not the most cheerful thought.
It's definitely a reminder of how the universe works. Like entropy of the universe tends toward disorder. And our bodies, as amazing as they are, they're constantly fighting against that just to stay organized.
So it's not just us, it's like the universe itself is pushing us toward, well, falling apart.
In a way, yeah. It's not that the universe is out to get us. It's more like it's just indifferent. And I think that's what the authors are getting at with this aging thing, but, using humor to make the point.
Which, okay, I'm starting to see why they called the book 42 Reasons to Hate the Universe.
But,
yeah,
I mean, if aging wasn't bad enough, they also point out that we're constantly bombarded by, like, invisible rays that are messing with our DNA.
Oh, yeah, radiation. It's one of those things, right? It's fascinating, but also kind of freaky when you think about it too much. Like, it's everywhere, from space, even just the ground beneath our feet. We've evolved to deal with some of it, but not all of it gets fixed, Which I guess makes sense, because life on Earth evolved with all that radiation around. But man, it's still unsettling knowing our cells are constantly fighting a battle against, like, invisible stuff.
Right. And it's not even just the immediate damage. Some radiation is strong enough to knock electrons off atoms, which creates these unstable molecules called free radicals. And those, well, they can cause a whole other level of trouble inside our cells, damaging DNA, messing with how our cells work, even increasing the risk of things like cancer.
Hold on, so we're aging mutants who are basically being targeted by cosmic radiation. I gotta say, universe, I'm feeling a little attacked here.
Well, before you swear off spacewalks forever, just remember, radiation's just another one of those things life on Earth has dealt with for billions of years. We're here, aren't we? So it's really a testament to how resilient life is.
Okay, yeah, I guess it's all about perspective. Speaking of which, let's talk about volcanoes. The book calls them explosive pimples on the Earth, which is a pretty great visual.
It's a little dramatic, but you can't deny it, right? Volcanoes definitely remind us that there's a whole lot of molten, unstable stuff right beneath our feet. Talk about forces of nature, right?
And I'm guessing those forces haven't always been so friendly to life, have they?
Definitely not. Volcanic eruptions, like massive ones, they've been responsible for some of the biggest extinction events ever. They spew ash and gases into the air, block out the sun, mess with the climate, even cause widespread acid rain.
So basically the universe is like, yeah, you can live here, but don't get too comfy because I can always shake things up. And then, just to really drive the point home, 42 Reasons reminds us that almost everything is poisonous at some level.
Right. Like they say, the dose makes the poison. Even water, you drink too much of it and it can be toxic. So yeah, it's all about context.
Okay. That's fascinating and also kind of terrifying. But we're just getting started. We'll be right back to explore more of the universe's greatest hits of how to ruin our day. Cosmically speaking, of course. Okay, so we've basically established that the universe, well, it's got a bit of a mean streak, right? Like, it throws exploding stars, radiation, even volcanoes at us,
Mm.
all while reminding us that, we're slowly falling apart.
It definitely puts things in perspective.
It does.
But I think before we spiral into complete cosmic doom and gloom, we talked about how the authors use humor.
Yeah, yeah. They're basically like, hey, the universe might be a mess, but let's laugh about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one way they do that is by being really self-aware. Like some reviewers have said this book is kind of an antidote, to that super enthusiastic, oversimplified science you see a lot.
Which makes sense because authors, they do this for a living, right? Science communication. So it's like they're poking fun at themselves a little bit while also telling it like it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's refreshing. They're not afraid to ask the big questions, even if the answers are kind of, well, unsettling.
Which brings me to something I've been wondering. With all this talk about why we should be like freaking out about existence, what is this one reason not to hate the universe? The book's subtitle mentions it. It sounds kind of hopeful.
And it's a big one. It really is. So even with all the dangers, all the ways the universe seems to not care about us, the authors argue that just being here, being alive, is something we should, well, cherish.
Okay, you've got to explain that one.
Think about it. The universe is huge and old.
Yeah.
And it doesn't care about us at all. The fact that life exists on this tiny planet around an average star in one galaxy out of billions, it's mind-blowing.
When you put it like that, it really makes you realize how fragile, how lucky we are.
Right. And that's the point. The authors want us to feel that awe, that wonder. Against all odds, here we are. We're the universe becoming self-aware, able to ask these questions, feel joy, sadness, all of it.
It's like when you see the Milky Way on a really clear night, humbling and amazing at the same time.
Exactly. It reminds us that we're part of something way bigger than ourselves, like a story that's been unfolding for billions of years. And maybe our part is small, but hey, we get to be here for it. That's got to be worth something.
It's a total shift in perspective. Like, instead of focusing on all the bad stuff, we should be grateful we're even here at all.
Exactly. Embrace the absurdity of it. The universe doesn't owe us anything, but here we are anyway, living, experiencing. That's pretty remarkable.
I like that. It does make the exploding stars and the DNA damage seem a little less scary. But this whole idea, embracing the absurdity, it reminds me of something else they talk about. This critique of, overly enthusiastic pop science.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely cautioning against those overly simplified, overly optimistic takes on the universe.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, hey, the universe isn't here to make us happy, but it's still amazing.
So it's not about denying the science, it's about facing it, even the parts that are kind of hard to stomach.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this book so great, I think. It reminds us that science isn't always about easy answers or feeling good. It's about asking tough questions, admitting we don't have it all figured out, and facing how much we don't know.
So it's about the mystery, the wonder, and even the absurdity of it all.
Exactly. And I think that really matters, especially now when the world feels so chaotic. It's okay to laugh at it all, even if we're laughing at ourselves.
Right. So to sum up, the universe may not be on our side, but it's still incredible that we get to experience it.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride, and we shouldn't take it for granted.
Well said. And that brings up another cool thing about this book, It's not just a list of complaints. It uses these reasons to hate as a starting point for a much bigger conversation.
Oh, you're right. It's like each reason opens the door to thinking about our place in the universe, our relationship to science, even, death.
Exactly. And they're not afraid to ask the big questions, but in a way that's, engaging and funny.
It's true. This book is about science, but it's also about philosophy. It's about figuring out what it means to be human in a universe that doesn't seem to care too much about us.
You got it. They're really weaving together science and philosophy, making us think about not just what we know about the universe, but how we feel about it, too.
And how what we know shapes how we see the world.
Exactly. Like that point about everything being poisonous at the right dose, it reminds us that it's all about context. What's dangerous in one situation might be harmless, even necessary in another.
It's like they're saying, don't jump to conclusions, look closer,
Exactly. And that matters for everything, not just understanding science. It's about how we interpret information, what happens around us, even our own lives.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into 42 Reasons to Hate the Universe, I'm curious, what are your final thoughts? For anyone listening who's maybe feeling a little less optimistic about the universe after all this, what's the biggest takeaway?
That's a good question. I think the most important thing this book does is it tells us it's okay to feel, all the feels when it comes to the universe. Like, it's okay to be amazed and kind of terrified all at the same time.
Because those feelings, that's part of what makes us human, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're not just watching the universe, we're part of it. We're asking questions, trying to figure it all out, and yeah, sometimes that means facing the stuff that makes us uncomfortable, that makes us rethink everything.
It's like science is about being okay with not knowing everything, right?
Totally. And being okay with the fact that sometimes the things we learn, well, they can be kind of scary, kind of unsettling.
But there's also beauty in that, right? Like the fact that we can even ask these questions, that we can find humor in the middle of, cosmic chaos. That's pretty incredible.
Absolutely. And maybe, being able to laugh at it all, even if we're the butt of the joke sometimes, maybe that's how we survive it.
Yeah. I think you're right. Well, this has been quite the deep dive. 42 reasons to hate the universe and 1 reason not to. Definitely gave us a lot to think about. And for everyone listening, here's something to ponder. What's your reason? Your own personal reason to maybe not hate, but at least be a little annoyed with the universe.
It can be big or small, serious or silly. It's up to you.
Because in the end, even though the universe might seem indifferent, the fact that we're here, asking questions, finding meaning, that's what matters.
Well said.
And on that note, we'll leave you to contemplate the vastness of it all. Thanks for joining us on this cosmic journey.